San Francisco moves on. Eagles, on the other hand, handily put away the Giants. It wasn't even, barely a watchable game. And sure enough, they came through and they're looking really strong at this point. Over-under set at 46.5. And again, Eagles favored. Money line here. If you want the San Francisco 49ers, you get slight value plus 125. Philadelphia minus 145 on the money line just to pick them to win straight up. So, Scotty, this one's fascinating game. This is going to be the earlier game of the day. What do you like? What do you not like? What's on your mind for this one?
So I don't have a pick on this game as one of my picks of the week because I'm torn, Chris. I am torn. Philadelphia for a long stretch of the season was great, right? Best team, certainly in the NFC. For a long stretch of the season, kind of faltered down the stretch, but Hurts was hurt. There was a lot of underlying factors with injuries, and now they're healthy. 49ers have won, is it 11 straight now, Chris? 11 straight. Underdogs on the road. And I think going into this postseason, most people were saying the 49ers were the best team in the NFC. And then I don't think anything happened that first week of the playoffs. The Eagles didn't play. The 49ers did, but the 49ers took care of business late against Seattle to dissuade that. And then they watched last week, and they watched the 49ers, especially offensively, play great defensively, but offensively struggle against Dallas. They watched the Eagles beat the shit out of the Giants, and all of a sudden everyone's just like, never mind. The Giants are the better team. They might be. If I had a lean, I would lean Eagles minus 2.5. I just think Brock Purdy on the road in a big situation listen, the Eagles roster is stacked all over the place.
Yes, it is.
On offense and defense. And that's not to say both these two teams are very similar. And here's an overlying point of all of this, Chris, that I want to ask you. Is there a new model to win in the NFL? Because when you look at the 4 teams left, 3 of the 4 teams have quarterbacks on rookie deals.
Yep.
And they just stack their roster because they get a cheap quarterback that, can take them, Hurts, obviously. Burrow's phenomenal on a cheap deal. He's only in year 3.
It's a big piece of it, man.
Mahomes is the only one that's not on his rookie deal. So the rosters of these other 3 are phenomenal. And is that moving forward the model some teams might take? Like if, for example, real quick, if you're Dallas, I know you obviously have Dak signed for a while, but if you're any team, and Dallas is an example, that doesn't have a top, let's say 8 quarterback in the league, but you have to pay your 12th best quarterback top 5 money, are you better off just trading that guy away, getting assets, building your roster, and having a new quarterback that you draft on a rookie deal? I don't know. I mean, obviously the Niners are rocking with the last pick of the draft this year.
Yep.
It's a fair question. Honestly, speaking of Dallas this week, someone mentioned that in Twitter, and Micah Parsons, of all people,
yeah,
up for Defensive Player of the Year,
yeah,
commented on, or not commented, but he retweeted that with his own comments being like, interesting. Which, by the way, is interesting. I don't know if he said exactly those words, but it was along the lines of
reading between those lines there.
Reading between the lines, Mike is like, maybe we should just build our roster. Because Dallas lost because of Dak.
They did. True.
Dallas, and maybe a lack of, obviously you lose Pollard, and a lack of talent on the outside. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, they're kind of garbage at the outside. But that's why they lost. Dak wasn't nearly good enough. And if Dak was just okay, they might have won. Dallas's own Twitter account or own online account,
Ruthless.
their own website, posted a Twitter link with like throwing Dak under the bus, like saying like Dak threw 2 bad picks and that's why we lost. Essentially, that's essentially what DallasCowboys.com.
You think they fired that person after that? Like, oh my goodness.
I don't know. I would think it would have to go through multiple people before you post it. Working in a professional sports landscape, nothing gets posted by one person ever. It's especially to an online website. So everything is approved by at least multiple other people prior to getting out there. So no, I don't think they fired that guy, and maybe they're fine with it. That's just what Dallas does. But that's getting off on a tangent. But the question is, and I want to pose it to the chat, would you rather if you had, let's say, the 10th best quarterback in the league, and he was up for free agency, and you knew you were going to have to pay him top 5 money at the quarterback position, which, by the way, now is like $50 million a year. Would you rather do that, or would you rather build out the roster like these teams have kind of done with, you know, rookie quarterback deals with Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow? And obviously Joe Burrow is going to get re-signed, and Jalen Hurts will likely get re-signed. And then these teams will be probably gone.
And then they fall off. Well, exactly. Exactly.
They'll
And that's the whole point of this whole thing, because I've seen this trending across a couple platforms as well, where they're talking and they have statistics of all the teams that were in the playoffs and how many made it this far and how many over the last few Super Bowls, you know, with the salaries that these quarterbacks are making and what these teams are able to put towards the rest of their roster, and how that really handcuffs in the grand scheme of things what you can do. And you might be right. And like the problem with that is you're gambling from year to year on whether or not you can get a guy in the draft or a young kid that's going to actually be able to give you enough to get you there within that short period of time on that rookie deal. So like, you know, if that guy doesn't pan out, you're kind of in that perpetual, oh, I got to find the next guy. Oh, I got to find the next guy. Oh, got to find, and like, you know, you're not going that whole paying a big free agent like an Aaron Rodgers or whoever might be out there. So it's riskier, but if you find your guy, it's worth the risk to get to that point, because you have multiple years where you're going to be competing at a high level to go to Super Bowls because you had the chance to build around that player.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be super fascinating to see what happens with the Bengals moving forward, Chris, because the Bengals' notorious history is not paying players necessarily. They're perceived as their ownership a little on the cheaper side. I don't think that's disrespectful to say. They haven't always paid out for their players. So you have Burrow coming up. You have Jamar Chase eventually coming. You have T. Higgins coming. You have Joe Mixon coming. They're not going to pay all these guys. You can't. So this is the window for the Bengals. This is their best window they'll ever have with Joe Burrow as their quarterback.
Well, and
this is the best team they'll ever have with Joe Burrow as their quarterback.
And, you know, I think if we go in the running back route of like not paying running backs, Mixon's the odd man out looking at that.
Yeah,
so, you know,
then you're still paying a ton of money to T. Higgins. Like, you're going to pay Jamar Chase and you're going to pay Joe Burrow. I get that. And you should. T. Higgins, can you pay him enough? Because he will get more money somewhere else.
True.
Then the Bengals will pay him, because he's the number 2 with the Bengals. On 20 other teams, he'd be their number 1, and he'd get paid more money, guaranteed.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people in the chat here
have to be made.
After the last interception, Dak threw his helmet and got intercepted. Yeah, probably. Build out the roster, says Dr. J. Jake Ross, your Eagles. The Eagles have their core signed for the next 4 years, except Devontae Smith, who is only in his second year. Eagles by 10, says Squand. Welcome in, Squand.
Except, well, Jalen Hurts isn't signed for the next 4 years.
Jalen, what's he on? He's got...
Jalen Hurts is only on a 4-year deal because he was second round quarterback, and he's in is this year 3?
I can't remember what year he's in as of right now, but
it's year 3. It's got to be year 3.
But you do have a pick you don't have a pick in this one.
I have a prop bet in this one.
Do you want to talk about your prop bet? What you like?
Speaking of Jalen Hurts, I have his passing number is 248.5. Partially this is me leaning towards Eagles, and partially like 248.5. I feel like Jalen Hurts only gets to in this game if they're losing late and often in this game. Otherwise, I don't know why it's the Eagles you need to throw that much. He has a ton of weapons, but like they literally dominated the game last week on the ground against the Giants with the offensive line bullying people. And I know the Niners have obviously a better defense than the Giants. I don't see how Hurts gets to 248.5 over on his passing yards.
Okay.
That seems like a lot for me. He's a dual threat guy, so even when they drop back, he's going to run at times. Against an elite defense like the Niners in a game that I think you think is going to be low scoring, I think might be relatively low scoring.
Yep.
I lean under on his passing yards, and that's not to say that I don't think the Eagles win, because I do. I lean Eagles, but at the same time, Hurts under 248.5 passing yards is one of my best bets of the week and my only bet on this game.
Yeah, I got 2 bets on this one, and I wanted to just hit them with straight up bets, and for each one, whether it's against the spread or over unders. So I went Eagles -2.5 in this one, and I took the under 45. Actually, I got it at 46 now. It's at 46, so I'm taking the better number at 46.5. Which is crazy to me. I think that's a kind of a crazy number in my opinion. Considering, the Niners are coming off, a gutting, it was just a grind fest of 19-12 win against the Cowboys. Lowest point total, Brock Purdy. Now they travel across the country to face the only defense with a better sack rate than Dallas. They're going to have a lot of issues getting the ball out and making Purdy feel comfortable. If Dallas made him feel uncomfortable, I think this Philadelphia team is going to make him feel uncomfortable. So I just think that's going to hold them back offensively. I think Philly's offense is good enough to have some success with the 49ers defense, but I also don't see, big point totals on the Philadelphia side either. I think this might be similar to last week's 49ers game when they played last week. So I think that this game, 2 good defenses really grinding out in a playoff game. I think this total should be in the 43-44 range easily. And so I think I would lean more towards that over, as long as you have it at that 45.5 and higher. I mean, that seems really, really good. And it leans more towards your bet too, obviously the under for Jalen Hurts. But Philadelphia -2.5. Again, Purdy, I think he's going to be struggling. Eagles have one of the strongest pass rushing in the league, strongest pass rush in the league, and have allowed 200 net passing yards just once in the last 7 games. Purdy going on the road in this massive, crazy environment that Philadelphia is. They're hyped over there. They burn shit down when they win, right? So Eagles fans are going to be nuts. Eagles offense had no issues in the first half against the Giants, despite health questions regarding Jalen Hurts and Lane Johnson. Those ended up being non-factors. They should be able to get to 20 points or so and be able to get this win from there. So I love Philadelphia in this game. Philadelphia -2.5, and I like the under if I was going to take a side. So that's where I'm at in this one. I think this one will be super competitive. Lot like the 49ers Dallas game.
Yeah, listen, both these teams are really good, and we have the 2 best teams in the NFC, in my opinion. I mean, Dallas was there, but Dak didn't show up. So we have the 4 best teams in the NFL left, which we don't always get every year. Right, Chris? So we're privileged with that. This one's going to be entertaining. Both games are going to be entertaining, I hope, and I think.
What is
and
this?
close.
Sleeping Beauty. 2 of our patients were listening to your stream in their rooms on Sunday. What did they think? What were they?
Oh.
Oh no, I don't know if that's
Hopefully that wasn't on the last play.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Sleeping Beauty. I don't.
Hopefully they were sleeping.
Oh no.
Mm.
I mean, keel over because of the commentary.
I appreciate you trying to build the brand here,
Hey,
but
if you want to put us all over, I mean, we've been in bars before. I think Dr. J threw us up in a bar once. It was a good thing. They really enjoyed it.
oh, okay.
Yay!
Perfect.
Hey, Sleeping Beauty, that means a lot that you're throwing
That
us
is
up.
amazing.
That's incredible. I don't even know what to say to that. That's one of like the more we always get flattering stuff on here, but the fact that you're throwing us up, we're in your with your patients in the background listening to us. Hey,
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it
I'm glad
too.
they enjoyed it, because that could have gone sideways quickly.
Do we have a word on their arrangement, says Chairman? It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, there you go. That's the NFC Championship side. Hello, patience. You can do it. There you go. Next up, Bengals at Chiefs coming at you. Now, your boys, Scotty. Your boys are in this one. Chiefs, had a little scare. They had a little scare. Patty Mahomes. We talked a lot about it earlier. People have been zooming in on the knee, on the ankle, on the leg, on the everything, trying to figure out if there's anything that doesn't look right. And this is a big one, right? This is there's a reason why this came out where it was, I think it was Chiefs -3, and then all of a sudden shifted all the way to the other side and then back. Or no.
It opened Chiefs -3. It moved all the way to Bengals -2.5.
Yep. And then so there were overreactions on both sides, but the only reason that this number is where it's at and Patrick Mahomes is a home dog is this the first time, Scotty?
They were home dogs against Buffalo this year.
But in the
this is the
playoffs,
second time. Oh, in the playoffs, no. First time.
First time in the playoffs, they've been home underdogs.
This is only the second time since Mahomes has been quarterback that they've been home dogs ever.
So, and the only reason for that is because of what happened in the last game to the high ankle sprain of Patrick Mahomes, which typically high ankle sprains, guys, from reports and from, I know your Twitter doc knows what's up on the high ankle sprains, typically takes like 3-4 weeks.
Up to 8, Chris.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of time.
It's often a high ankle sprain is actually worse than fracturing your ankle. The recovery time on a high ankle can be longer than, Chris, I'm an expert on ankles because I've messed my ankles up a lot of times in my life. And like literally, I fractured my ankle in high school, and the doctor was like, "Well, at least it's not a high ankle." Well, I'm not kidding.
Well, luckily, we have a doc in the chat saying 6 if they are lucky.
Yeah, it's usually 6 to 8. It's usually 6 to 8. Chris.
So, what does this mean for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs if he's not? I mean, numbing it up, and what do they put that in? A soccer spray? What do they do for the soccer players? They do a little spray. You're healed now. You're good to go. Maybe I don't know.
I know they brought Mr. Miyagi in, so he's there. He's present. If you don't know, Chris, it's a Karate Kid reference. You didn't get it. It's fine.
No, I know Mr. Miyagi. By the way, have you seen the Netflix show yet?
No.
Cobra Kai? If you haven't,
no.
Go check out Cobra Kai, guys. It's fantastic. Side note.
I think Mahomes is just built a little different in the sense, Chris. One, obviously he's a competitor beyond belief. Actually, what's hilarious, I was seeing references today to, I don't know if you remember, Mac Jones had a high ankle sprain this year. And literally he's being carried by 2 doctors and he looks like he's crying and he's in the most pain of his life. like taken back to the locker room. And it's like, this is the same injury as Patrick Mahomes. And it's hilarious.
And Patty came back in the same game.
Same game. And played pretty damn well. I don't know. Nick Wright, Chris, on his first things first this week, ranked Patrick Mahomes as the number 1 quarterback in the league. Joe Burrow as the number 2 quarterback in the league. And Patrick Mahomes on one leg is the number 3 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. But they did reference, Andy Reid specifically brought this up, and I had kind of forgot about this. That he got a high ankle injury in 2019, week 1. And he played, well, he didn't miss any time for it. Let's put it that way. How'd he play? The next 2 weeks, Chris, they won both games. They averaged 30.5 points per game.
Woo.
His completion percentage was 70.4. His pass yards per game, I don't actually think this is right. It says 408. That can't be right. That might be wrong. 408.5. 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, passer rating of 131.6. His 2 weeks after his high ankle sprain to start the season in 2019.
Wow.
And we've seen, I mean, we saw, so Romo on Sunday, day after, right? On the other AFC game was like, we don't know for sure Mahomes is playing this week, because I think Roman, his mind is like, high ankle sprains, you may be able to make it through that day, but that next day and the day after, you can't walk. You can't walk. Guess what? Mahomes has been, I know for a fact, walking. We saw it today. Mm-hmm. And he's getting treatment nonstop. He has been in a athletic center with his athletic trainer, Bobby Stroop, who I follow very closely, and everything's good. He's like, Mahomes has these like elusive tendons, and that's part of the why I don't know. When he dislocated his kneecap, that's the elasticity, I think, of his. This is a Sleeping Beauty is going to be like, you're an idiot. Yeah. But this is what I've heard. Okay.
Well, see through something.
You can train yourself, and Bobby Stroop is a very much on this. Like, you can train your tendons and all these to like have more elasticity, and to be able to, not that you can prevent injury fully, but you can prevent severity of injury, and you can have more stability based off that injury, or maybe, you know, minor things don't affect you as much because of the whatever training he does with this genius in my book. Like, I will do whatever I can for this man. But I'm talking too long about this, and I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick, Chris. I'm going to do a code yellow.
Code yellow. And
how about you touch on how you feel about this game?
Yeah. Sleeping Beauty in the chat. The NFL has the best docs in the world. Mahomes will probably have an S grade at best ankle brace support stabilizer. That's it.
I will say he has not worn a brace since the game thus far.
It's crazy.
At any moment.
Crazy. So, yeah, and maybe Chairman a little bit. It's not fair to say all ankles are equal. Like, yeah, it could be. Everyone's different. Every sprain is different. Everything is. So, who knows? But I think that high ankle sprain is a high ankle sprain regardless, and there's still going to be, if that's what it is, which is what they're saying it is, then there's still that 6 to 8 weeks or whatever that typically those take to recover. A-Rod and McAfee gave Mahomes a lot of credit. Yeah, sure. Spam code yellow in the chat for Scotty while he takes care of business. So I have 2 bets in this game as well, both one on the spread and one on the over-under. And I have the Kansas City Chiefs plus 1.5. And the fact that Scotty told me what the stats that he told me about Mahomes playing injured and this and that, and blowing up and 30 points, and I mean, I'll take that. So I think this is going to be, I think a lot of people are going to be looking into this game and saying, oh, the Bengals have all the weapons. They're playing the best football, this and that, which is, it's terrifying. I mean, I think it's going to be an incredible game. But Kansas City getting plus 1.5 at home, this line has fluctuated. This line would not be where it's at if it wasn't for the injury. So there's the home field advantage. You have a defense that's been playing, decent over the last couple of weeks. I don't know. Or the latter part of the season, I should say. I just think that overall, the only reason this line is as low as it is the health of Patrick Mahomes. But Bengals offensive line, we've talked about, they have been kind of, a liability. Well, they haven't been recently. They actually had one of their best games last week against the Buffalo Bills. And, they came out swinging, came out throwing and slinging in the snow, which is something that I think that they'll try to do in this game as well. But I just think that the way Andy Reid calls a game, we saw what happened when Patrick Mahomes was out for one drive and they were able to go 98 yards and a touchdown. Like, they will be able to adapt, and I think they will be able to make some things happen when it comes to whatever ends up happening in this game. I do like the over in this game as well. I think the over in this game, again, going back to Scotty's stats of injured Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid offenses and this and that, I think there's a really good chance that we're going to have a team. The Bengals are going to try to put up points quick like they did last week. And the Chiefs are going to have to keep tabs with that and keep up with that. So I like the Chiefs and the Bengals at 46.5 to push this a little over. Bengals have scored 27 in their last 3 wins over the Chiefs. And the Titans are the only team since week 8 to hold them under 22 points. Even with Mahomes' health, these two offenses should put up at least into the 50s, in my opinion. I think this is an over game, over 46.5. And then, anytime you're getting the Chiefs at home, even with an injured Mahomes, I like them getting plus 1.5. And I think that, if my bets end up standing, Scotty, we're going to have an Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl coming up.
Love it. Would love it. Listen, my favorite bet of the week is a teaser, and it's actually on the Niners and Chiefs. So I'm teasing Niners up to plus 8.5, and I'm teasing the Chiefs. I got the Chiefs at plus 2 at the time. So I teased them up to plus 8, and I laid a substantial bet on that. Listen, the Chiefs, since Mahomes has been a starter for the last 5 years, never will lose by one score. Outside of the Super Bowl against the Bucs, this year, all 3 of their games that they lost were all by a field goal. They lost in overtime to the Colts. Or not overtime, but it was very late, and it was special teams. They lost by 3 to the Bills, and they lost by 3 to the Bengals. And listen, Chris, the Chiefs never get to play the underdog card. They never get to. All of a sudden, because of Mahomes' injury, and the Bengals have been talking some mad shit. You see tape on the sideline of the last game. They're like, "Hey, we're headed to Burrowhead instead of Arrowhead," and I'm like,
Ask the Raiders how talking trash and doing laps around the stadium panned out for them.
Yeah, and Burrowhead's a little bizarre because Burrow's played 1 game in his career in Arrowhead. He did win that game, but he's 1-0. Let's settle down on Burrowhead. They're very, very confident, very arrogant bunch. They're now the whole world is on the Bengals. They're betting it. The line has moved towards the Bengals. Chiefs are now the underdog, and they don't get to feed off this position a lot. What I do believe is they'll keep it close regardless. Can the Bengals win this game? Of course. But I have a good feeling, Chris. I have a good feeling about my Chiefs. I think, last time we played, the Chiefs didn't have Kadarius Toney on their roster the last time they played. They didn't have McCole Hardman playing in that game. McCole Hardman hasn't played for the last 8 or 9 weeks, but it looks like he's going to play this week. By the way, when you have an injured quarterback and you're looking to get the ball out quick, the 2 best options on the Chiefs are, there's 3. It's Kelsey, of course, but also Kadarius Toney and McCole Harmon might be two of the best wide receivers after the catch in the league. And they have them at their disposal that they didn't have the last time they played when they lost by 3 in Cincinnati. Everyone's like, well, Cincinnati just has their number. They literally won. They've won the last 3, and they were all by a field goal and won in overtime, Chris. So while they won all 3 games, it's not like, and I said this on Sunday, like it's not like they're just blowing the Chiefs out. But they're confident, they're arrogant, they're coming in. We'll see. I mean, the Bengals played phenomenal last week, and they played better than the Chiefs did last week, no doubt. No doubt. So if that happens again, but let's not take away the Bengals 2 weeks ago in wildcard weekend should have lost to the Ravens. So what team shows up week to week? Like the Bengals got outplayed by the Ravens, got lucky with a 14-point swing on a turnover at the goal line that they took back for a touchdown. So
yeah. I think it all hinges on Patty Mahomes' health. I mean, I don't know if you like your boy Fezzik, right? You follow him and his rankings. He had his rankings out, and he said if he was healthy, the Kansas City Chiefs are 8 points better than the average team, whereas the Cincinnati Bengals, healthy with what they have currently outside of their offensive line or whatever, are 5 points better. So right now, KC's 3 points better with the injury, strictly off that. So 5 points off for the high ankle sprain. And
well, it's more than that because of home field.
And then factoring in home field and this and that.
Like,
so
Fezzik said, I think if Mahomes was healthy, the Chiefs would be 5 to 5.5 point favorites in this game.
It would be
now they're underdogs because of Mahomes' health question.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna doubt that dude.
Sleeping Beauty's just dropping like medical bombs on us, just giving us all the intel, all the insights. Reading from an article, looks like they're using a lot of TENS therapy, cryotherapy. Sounds like they are working on the dorsiflexion of his ankle. Like,
let me know if this makes sense, Sleeping Beauty. So Mahomes' head trainer posted this on October 5th on Twitter, but pinned it. And I don't know when he pinned it, but I think it might be more recent. He said, this is the tweet. Proprioceptors set the boundaries for our tissue extensibility and actively affect joint mobility and stability and movement. We have to train for best case while building resiliency and comfort in worst case. I think he that tweet was from October 5th from his head trainer, who's not affiliated with the Chiefs, by the way. But pinned now, and I think that's on purpose. And I don't know what half those, like proprioceptors, I don't know what that means. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Watch your mouth, Scotty. This is a family show.
Yeah, but it sounds smart, and it sounds like he is training. And the picture that's tied to it is Mahomes getting tackled where his ankle looks like it's getting absolutely destroyed by a Tampa Bay Buccaneer earlier on this year. And he gets up and he's fine.
Cuban Benny. Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sleeping Beauty sounds like a lot of word salad.
Yeah.
It could be. I don't know.
The more you know. So yeah, this is going to be a fascinating game, and we won't know what we're going to see from Patty Mahomes until he gets a couple plays under his belt and everything else. But either way, you got a hot Cincinnati team and an underdog Kansas City team that's like not used to being in this position, that is going to make this game fascinating. And I think, again, Patty's going to put up some points. Don't think that for a second. He is able to come back into that game and put up points. And again, Andy Reid, regardless, is going to draw up some things. If they could get a 98-yard touchdown drive without Patrick Mahomes on the field, just think what they could do with, a talented quarterback like Patrick Mahomes when he's even half healthy, right?
They went 98.
Chad Henne.
And the one thing I'll say about that is everyone's like, that just proves that it's the system. It's not Mahomes. Henne threw for like 23 yards on that drive. I like Henny stats because he was only in that game. Let me look that up. I think it was roughly 20 something yards. So of the 98, they had like a 40-yard run from their running back, Isaiah Pacheco. And they had a 15-yard roughing the passer on Penny. So that was like 55 right there. Not to say it wasn't a great drive, and Henny did what he needed to do on that drive, but everyone's like, well, that just proves that you don't need Mahomes. Henny threw for 20 yards on a 98-yard drive. Okay. That doesn't work out very often.
Chad Henne is not that
You're
guy.
not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
He's not.
Sleeping Beauty. Mahomes is going to be ready. Mahomes is 100% going to play and 100% going to be testing it. My only fear is a re-aggravation. And that sets him back. I think if he doesn't re-injure it, he'll be fine. And he'll play really, really well. My only fear is him having some hit that hits the ankle again and re-aggravating it, and then we might have problems.
Well, and we're looking at a cold game. This is gonna be like 20 degrees. I think it's gonna be clear. It was supposed to snow, but the snow came in early.
Yeah,
it came in early, and it's clear and cold, and it's gonna be, I think, as cold as it's gonna be a spicy game.
It's spicy.
Oh, spicy.
Spicy. Gotta watch out for Eli Apple then, Scotty. Speaking of, we have a couple more things to get to before the end of the show. One of them is coming in hot, and you might just be onto something there casually. I know STG is just like salivating right now. Like, what? What's happening? JK's ready. Let's go. Let's dive into our best bet picks of the week that we have coming up. So you have Scotty Ladarius Toney over 34.5 receiving yards. I think he's been picking it up little by little. I love that pick. The teaser, that's one of your biggest bets of the week.
Favorite bet of the week.
Teaser, San Francisco plus 8.5 and KC plus 8. So, covering a close game that's probably going to be happening in Philadelphia, and just getting a little extra insurance on KC. Then you got Hurts under 248.5 passing yards. This is going to be a grindy game. I got the under in this game, so that makes sense for me. I like that a lot. And we both have Kansas City plus 1.5. We think Kansas City might eke out a win at home and figure out a way to get it done. I have Philadelphia minus 2.5 winning this game. I think they are going to have a lot to throw at Brock Purdy. And I just think that they're going to be across the board in a better position here at home. I think these Brock Purdy coming into his first away on the road playoff game in this environment, I think he's going to struggle a little bit. So Philadelphia edges out at least by a field goal. And I also have the under in that game. So under 46.5, Kansas City, Cincinnati, over 46.5. I think this is going to be a shootout. And even with the cold weather, even with the injury to Patty Mahomes, I think it's going to be high scoring. I think we get into the 50s. I got over 46.5. Let's see. The same Eli, I get burned all the time. You two make me tired, says Football Wife. Give my team credit. We find ways to win games. We're a complete team. That is all you want. It only incentivizes us. We've won 10 freaking games in a row.
I'm not doubting you guys. The Bengals are really good. They beat us 3 times in a row. I said, they could easily win this game. 100%. Listen, I'm a Chiefs fan, so I'm gonna ride with KC plus 1.5 because I almost have to. I almost have to do that. And I think not you, Football Wife, but I think your team's coming in a little cocky and a little overinflated. And as a Chiefs fan, I think I like it. I like it. Them talking Burrowhead and them talking all this shit. I think the Chiefs will be fired up for this one. I get it. We're not gonna listen.
It's not gonna shock us.
The Bengals are a great team, and all 4 of these teams left. I could easily see any of these 4. When you look at the odds for who's gonna win the Super Bowl between these 4 teams, it's neck and neck, Chris. Let
me look it up right now.
These are all very, very equally perceived teams as far as Vegas is concerned. So
Let's see here. NFL. I'm just curious to see what the NFL odds here. More NFL, Super Bowl. Philadelphia's plus 230.
Yep.
Cincinnati's plus 260. Kansas City's plus 280. San Francisco plus 320. You're getting more value on San Francisco than anybody else, but still.
Yeah, but all of those
teams.
I've never seen 4 teams left in any sort of playoff of any sport be that close in odds. Like, these teams are all very, very evenly matched. Any one of the 4 can win it. I'm going to ride, obviously, with my Chiefs to win this game, but football, don't get me wrong. Of course, the Chiefs or the Bengals can win this game.
I mean, if they come out throwing and completing passes all over the field like they did in Buffalo, if they come out and they have drive 1 touchdown, drive 2, they're moving the ball, touchdown. Like, I mean, I think that's where Kansas City might have trouble, digging out as.
Oh, I think we can come back from things, but our issue is going to be our linebacker core is not very good right now. I thought it would be good this year. It's not. It got exposed last time when we played the Bengals earlier this year. They threw intermediate routes in front of our linebackers, and Joe Mixon didn't play, by the way, against the Chiefs earlier this year. And Samaje Perine had like 165 yards from scrimmage between receiving and rushing. Like, he dominated us.
And I will say Cincinnati has
going to have to be way better against the run. And the Bengals their offensive line stepped up. One thing I didn't mention, Chris, that I don't know if this is true, but I believe it is, because Mitchell Schwartz, who was an all-pro offensive tackle for the Chiefs, now retired, said, and this was in a different snow game, he said, in a snow game, it's way easier on the offensive line than it is the defensive line to pass protect, because it's way harder on the defensive line to cut or do anything. The offensive line, it's way easier, and he's an offensive lineman, so he's saying that as an offensive lineman. Obviously, the Bengals played in a snow game in Buffalo last week, so that offensive line that everyone was worried about reportedly played very well, played amazingly well, like better than they've ever played all year. But I have a former Chiefs offensive lineman, and not referencing that game at all, prior to that game, saying, as an offensive lineman in the snow game, you're at an advantage. They say especially in pass blocking. He said especially in pass blocking.
I will say too, the Bengals do have one of the best tackling defenses left in the playoffs. They do not let yards after the catch, yards after hit, after contact. I mean, they don't let a lot of plays go. I think there's they have some crazy stats that they only missed two total tackles in one game in the playoffs already in this current playoffs. I
think if the Bengals beat the Chiefs, I'd favor them in the Super Bowl.
I would too. I mean, I think that if they can come out and play like they did, like they have been doing the latter part of the season, they should be the favorites. And I mean, that matchup, if it's Eagles and Bengals, two mostly complete teams,
I think Bengals win that game.
I think I'm kind of with you. I don't know. I mean, that would be an interesting matchup, considering the Eagles are very good defending, in a lot of areas, and trying to slow down all the wide receivers for Cincinnati. I think it'd be fascinating. But Broncos earlier was, you two woke up football wife. Now you're in trouble. Yeah.
But we also tired her. He said we woke her up, but she said she's just tired from us.
Yeah. She's tired.
You don't want to hear.
And in the end, Dr. J's got it right here. In the end, it's going to be a fantastic game, and we can't wait to see it. So,
and G Girl has been avoiding news because she's like, Chiefs over the Bengals? Is Mahomes playing? I don't know. G Girl, is that a real question? That's not a real question, right?
Oh, he's playing.
Is Mahomes playing?
He is playing.
So he might play all the positions.
He'll throw